Let's start with Annie Power. Personally, I'd like to have seen her run in the Champion Hurdle. She's gone for the World Hurdle. What are thoughts on that? Right decision? First time 3 miles?
Not now. Like seeing how Hurricane Fly ran, it's a shame she wasn't allowed to take a chance. But for me, and it's only a mental thing, but for me this was the third best option for her. And I'd just have
meaning that Crevega Mares Hurdle, Hurricane Fly Champion Hurdle, and you feel that, you know, when are we going to put Annie Power? We're putting the World Hurdle and take on Big Bucks. This is the race
that was left, yeah. And so she might well come out and win it, and I hope she does. But it's just that mental thing. Is this the right race for her? I'm not sure it is.
Would you back a horse at 7-4 that's never run over the trip to win one of the hardest 3 mile races? That's the question. We don't know if she stays. Would you back a horse at 7-4? But
there's more question marks, people would suggest, on the other horses, because at Fisher Cross has had the problems, all right, finished ahead of Big Bucks. Big Bucks was out for a long time before it ran on the Cleve. Came third. I know it was giving way to Not By a Bro and at Fisher's Cross. So there's plenty of question marks against the horses that are coming up against it. More of that, whether that horse is immature and not old enough to get into this race. I tell you, someone who might have an opinion on the race also is Will Bowler, who's at top of our tipster competition, and hopefully he's got an opinion as well. Good evening, Will.
Good evening, Peter. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening. Well, we're talking about the World Hurdle, and just get your views before we go back to the guys on the panel. Talking about Annie Power, questioning whether this is the best race for Annie Power.
Yeah, no, I see why you'd think it was a wrong race, to be honest, and I'm sort of wavering into that camp as well now, particularly at the price as well. She's 6-4 now, and that's plenty short enough, really, for a mare who hasn't ran over this trip before. She's against Big Bucks, who has been the master of the 3 mile trip and 3 mile discipline over the past few years before his injury, of course. Big Bucks, there was doubts about his comeback effort. I thought personally it was a really good effort behind the Carabo, considering the ground, and that Paul Nicholls said that he wasn't quite in tip-top shape anyway beforehand. He was going to be only about 75-80% fit for that, and he still only got beat just over a length. So Big Bucks is getting about 4-1, to be honest.
Okay.
Considering his record. Just by the way, the Brian O'Connell now replaces the injured Brian Cooper on Roverworld as well.
Okay. We've obviously spoke a bit about Annie Powell. Big Bucks. Your views. I know you're going to probably go for this, Sandy, but
yeah, I think the prices.
Cheer up.
Sorry, I'm not. At the prices, I just feel that Big Bucks, I think he's 4-1 currently at the moment, 7-2, 4-1. I'd much rather be siding with him, especially that Paul Nicholls has echoed that he'd come on for the run. He would question his form though, Paul Nicholls, because Willie Mullins can't do anything wrong at the moment. But Paul Nicholls, his festival hasn't got off to the best of starts, has it?
Same last year, only one winner.
So that is a concern.
Billy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Big Bucks is great to see him win again. I couldn't really have him myself. You know, I'm not sure his ground will be ideal anyway for him, but it's just too many doubts. You know, is he going to come back as good as he was?
So we've got doubts over Annie Power's stamina for this.
Yep.
I thought, even though when she beat Sarkanda, it was over 2.5 miles, quickened away from Sarkanda. Got doubts about Big Bucks. Is there anything else?
Doubts about Fisher's Cross's jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and the ground concerns for him as well. They're watering, which is obviously good news for Fisher's Cross. But I think if this was softer ground, I don't think he'd be 9-1. I think he'd be a bit shorter. But Rebecca Curtis had a winner today with O'Fallion's boy, and McCoy's booked to ride. So I don't know, with that Fisher's Cross, it's a tricky one because his jumping has been a problem though.
It's still a significant question, isn't there? It's a significant doubt.
Yeah, I mean, Will, I mean, obviously, O'Fallion's boy, I tipped it up after probably nicking it off you a couple of weeks ago. But what about our Fisher's Cross, Will?
I think he's got a squeak. Whether 8-1 entices you enough to have an each-way pop at him or not is up for debate, to be honest. Most of his form is with some dig in the ground. The Albert Bartlett he won last year was very soft at the time of that race. And as I say, most of his wins are on either heavy, soft or good to soft. So the ground would be a slight concern for Fisher's Cross for sure.
Is there anything else there at a price? I mean, Celestial Halo, possibly, or anything lurking outside the big 3 or 4?
Well, I think there's one in particular that I'm looking at, but Paul Nicholls has 4 runners in this, so I'm sure there's going to be a rolling pace for big bucks. I think with either Celestial Halo, Salubrious and Zarkanda all in the lineup to probably pace make alternately. One of those 3 I do think might be a bit of value, which is Zarkanda, who is having his first try at 3 miles tomorrow and does appreciate really good ground. He was a winner. He beat the new one, of course, in the Aintree Hurdle last April on really good ground. And he's been running behind the likes of Annie Power and the new one this winter on stickier ground, which he's not enjoyed as much. I just thought at 12 or 14 to 1, Zarkanda was worth a small each way go, but it's a race that I'm going to be watching rather than punting in, I think.
Sandy, this one doesn't get your juices flowing.
No, it doesn't. I've always been more of a champion hurdle fan than I have a world hurdle. I'm not having a bet in the race, but if I was to pick a horse, I'd pick Big Bucks.
So hopefully get a bit more excited as we develop the programme and also looking ahead of the other races in Cheltenham Day 3. Billy?
No, I'm quite keen on having a bet. I actually like Rule the World, who beat beat the new one in last year's Neptune. Ran his best race of his career last time over an inadequate 2 miles 3 furlongs. He's, it just looks tailor-made for this. And he's young and exposed. He doesn't have the doubts that surrounding many of these. And I just thought he looked a bit of a nice price. It's a shame, obviously, Brian Cooper's not going to take the ride, which is not ideal. But just a quick mention for big outsider, Alan King's Medinas. Alan King's horse has been running very well this week. Medinas was... I think he gave £9 at Fisher's Cross here in a handicap in December 2012. He then won the Welsh Champion Hurdle.
Which is a handicap.
And he won the Coral Cup, which is a handicap, by 2 clear lengths, beating, I think, 27 rivals last year. I think, he could carry a top rate in a big handicap. This might just suit him. With Alan's horse is running well. I wouldn't be amazed if Medinas outran his price.
OK. Will, before we let you go, what's your selection for this race?
On a win side, it would be Big Bucks, each way Zarkanda.
OK, now obviously people watching this will be following your selections throughout the course of the Saturdays that we're on, because you're £44 up to a £1 stake. So do you want to quickly run through your tips for tomorrow?
Yep, no problem. The first race is very open, the JLT. I'm quite keen on Sizing Gold here, though, for Henry de Bromhead, who's been well touted at many of the Irish preview nights and will really like the good ground on offer tomorrow. I thought he was a better alternative than the likes of Oscar Whiskey, who's vulnerable to an improver. I thought the Potemps is wide open. You can make a case for quite a few. I was quite keen on Topwood, though, who was a winner at Haydock last time out in really heavy ground. But previously to that, most of his winning form has been on good ground. He's got a first-time hood on as well tomorrow, and we saw that tactic on day one. A couple of horses in first-time hoods went in. I thought Topwood was worth a go, and also Grand Vision one that caught the eye in that race for Colin Tizard, formerly third in the Albert Bartlett behind Brindisi Breeze. Beneficent is my selection in the Ryanair chase for Davy Russell and Tony Martin. Looks tailor-made for this after winning the Juicen last year. The Byrne Group Plate, I thought John Spirit to go very, very close. Of course, Patsy Byrne, whose race this is, died last summer, but he was a big owner with John Joe O'Neill, and I'm sure John Joe will be really keen to try and win this race in memory of Patsy. And John Spirit looks the ideal sort of horse to do it with. He usually gets sore shins, but he's recovered at his last run. I think Firth of the Clyde might go well at a price as well in there. And the last race, I think this could go to a couple of Irish ones involved. Cause of Causes, who looks a well-handicapped horse on his best hurdles form, won a Ladbroke at Ascot at his peak over hurdles. Looks dangerously handicapped. Nina Carberry aboard, lots of pluses. And one at a price down the bottom for Desi Hughes, Hunting Party, who should appreciate the return to good ground as well.
OK, well, thanks very much indeed for that, Will. We'll look forward to having you back on a Saturday very soon, and good luck with the rest of the week at Cheltenham.
Thank you very much, Pete. You too.